Als nächstes ist die Firma Robotics dran, liefert hier einen Beitrag. Hier geht es auch wieder um natürlich, man sieht schon in dem Titel, Dispensing Solutions mit, ich sag mal, mit Robotik. Geht darum, Klebstoffaufträge zu machen, Dichtstoffe, Silikone aufzutragen. Und wie sind wir dazu gekommen? Also wir haben jetzt unsere Roboter-Applikation mal im letzten halben Jahr durchgeschaut. Was können wir alles lösen? Wir haben viele, man hat es auch schon gestern gesehen, die Firma OnRobot hat zum Beispiel natürlich Greifer. Wir haben es heute gesehen von der Firma Schub, verschiedenste Greifsysteme, konfigurierbare Greifersysteme und auch Schleifsysteme von der Firma OnRobot. Wir haben das Lackieren, Beschichten, Explosionsschutz uns um den Roboter gekümmert. Und jetzt geht es natürlich darum, was immer so ein bisschen, ich sag mal, fehlte, wo auch wir Anfragen haben. Ich sag mal, Klebstoff auftragen, irgendwelche Kartons verkleben und so weiter. Und wichtig ist ja, es gibt viele Klebemittel oder Hersteller des Ganzen, aber wichtig auch bei der kollaborativen Robotik ist natürlich das ganze Plug and Play. Man will sich nicht mehr mit Dosierpumpen und so weiter auseinandersetzen. Ich sag mal, das System muss halt ein Softwaretreiber da sein, das Tooling muss direkt passen. Und das bietet halt die Firma Robotics und zeigt in diesem Vortrag praktisch, wie arbeiten die Systeme zusammen, wo liegen wirklich die Vorteile von dem Ganzen. Ich sehe schon, Mi ist schon mal online hier. Das Ganze, der Beitrag ist in Englisch und ich würde jetzt auch ins Englische wechseln. Hello Mi, you can enable your webcam and your microphone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hello, Jan. Nice to see you.
Hey, nice to see you. Welcome to our Omron Robotic Days and welcome to your slot. And yes, I give directly the word to you and I will give you the moderator rights here or presenter rights. Let me click it. So you have now all rights. You can share your screen and I will switch off my webcam so you can present Robotics and your solution.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. Okay, we have prepared. Oh, hang on. A presentation for you. It is in English, as mentioned before, but please ask questions in the note if you have any. So, yes, we'd like to introduce AIM Robotics Dispensing Solutions. We want to give you an introduction to some of the dispensing solutions available, some tips and tricks, and then show some of the benefits with using it on the Omron collaborative robot. Yes, the agenda with tips and tricks and benefits and things to remember. So just to give you a quick fly-in into the team, AIM Robotics was founded in 2019, and we're about a team of 6-7 people working on it full-time, and we've developed 5 products since we've been founded, developing more products as they come along, and now looking for global partners to sell our product. We are located in Odense with our R&D office for software development, and then near Copenhagen we have the office of mechanical design and production facilities. And you can find more information about us with this QR link into our website. So going through some of the issues with manual dispensing is that manual dispensing is basically, it's a difficult task to get through. What makes it difficult is that it's quite based on the operator that's actually there, so how much they press the button and how fast they actually move. So that gives a very variable result. Automation, if you go on to traditional automation of glues and silicons, they would come in an XY product, which is very difficult to actually reprogram again. If you're looking at the markets for collaborative robots, the tools specifically for dispensing are actually lacking, and they are coming as time proceeds, but they are still lacking on that front. And for now, with the investment for integrators and time spent programming and making these very bespoke solutions for each specific application, that means a quite high investment. If you look at some of the tools out there now, they're the non-flexible versions, or on robots, they would be with separate steering systems and a separate inlet for air as well. Where we come in with some of the benefits is that the integrator and the end user will have less risk with the off-the-shelf units that we provide. We have made tools specifically for collaborative robots. Also means that the integrator will actually save time because of the fast installation to the robot. This is then also a potential saving due to time less spent on programming and creating the program and interface from scratch. All of this can actually give a ROI of less than 6 months with a robot and everything together. So what we want to do is create these products that give more flexibility into automated dispensing. We are making plug and dispense products that are very fast with installation. Typically, it's one product or plug for communication and power. Then we have precision, which is provided because our units are electronically controlled. And then the ease of use, because they are fully integrated onto the robots with programs that actually use the robot's own control language and programming language. So going through our FD series, we have 3 patent pending products. Here, it's the FD series is a modular built series, which, as you can see, all have the same base unit that you can build onto and reconfigure as need comes. So we have this series can support medium to high viscosity fluids. Some of them use compressed air to feed the dosing pump, but because they're all electronically controlled, as mentioned before, we can still provide precise dispensing. We have designed them for silicons, acrylics, adhesives, polymers, and greases. And we can, with our programming, ensure that we have a constant dispensing flow in relationship to the speed of the tip and the robot speed. This makes sure you don't have these potential lumps in the beginning and end of a dispensing, and also in corners we can have a continuous volume that is actually dispensed. So this FD solution is a stepper motor that goes down and rotates an auger screw, and thereby deposits the material. So our model here is the FD high volume. This is an add-on a module you can add that then allows for an external feeding system to be entered. And this feeding system, which we don't actually supply, that comes in, and that can go down into whichever system that the user would require. So anything from 1 to 25 liter feeding system, but that's external. Then we have our FD 400, which was our first product. This is specifically for greases and for the 400 milliliter grease cartridges. And we can get down into a dispensing repeatability of ±10% on this. As you can see, this does not require any air to keep the volume, the material into the dispensed area. This is a spring-fed system, but again, because of our electronic dispensing, we can provide this repeatability. Then our last product on this is the FD310. This is called the FD310 because it's for the 310 milliliter cartridges. This is typically cartridges with grease, not grease, with silicons, RTVs, and they are they're the fun ones because they are not necessarily they don't necessarily share the viscosities for those, and that makes it more fun to actually choose it. But you insert the cartridge into this container, and then for this one, it requires air to keep it at a constant pressure that we can then dispense with our accuracy. And for the Dowsel 1791, which is a typical used product, we have shown a repeatability of ±1% with this system. Our other our other dispenser is called our syringe dispenser. This is a completely self-contained unit, which is volumetric. In this unit, we have a stepper motor again that pushes an axle down, and a plunger pushes down the piston in the syringe. The SD3055 is called this because it's made for 30 or 55 syringe barrels that can come filled by the supplier with this material, or is filled on site by the user themselves. They're typically used with the Lurlock tiny needles, and yeah, so very good for very precise work. We can go down into dispensing basically micro droplets with this unit, and we can dispense anything from as thin as water with it as well, without dripping. What we have here is also the simplicity in use. The plug and dispense, you can be up and dispensing within 10 minutes. We also have what we call auto TCP speed, where we can make sure that the dispensing speed changes in accordance to the robot speed itself. Again, making sure that even corners have the same volume dispensed. It is an all-in-one solution, so there is full control through the robots with all the parameters, calling back the piston for refill and things like this. Our next product, which is soon to launch, is a need we've seen from the users themselves, which is a product where we call the TCP calibration unit, but it is to go down and verify and set up the parameters for changing tool center points. So the absolute tip of the unit, for instance, with needles or with welding applications, anywhere where the TCP would change during an operation, or when you change needles, things like this. And after first setting up with a contactless point, you can go in and it can automatically, as part of the program, go in and reset your TCP. So this is an automated process and not operator dependent. Going through some of the examples for applications, we see we've tested some Novasil, and what is the SD3055 can be used very much for is the electronics industry. And here you could use it for instance, for silicons, go down and support the components on the printed wired circuit boards. We have also sold these units for cutting, epoxy, things like this on electronics. Oh, and then a separate note as well is it also being used for dispensing chocolate sauce on coffees in Spain. But that's very much dependent on what material the holder itself, container, is made of. So it can be used within the food industry. Another example is, for instance, the FD series, which has been used for silicons for gaskets in parts, putting two parts together and creating an airtight seal or watertight seal in assembly. And this is where automation comes into its own, as you can, if you can ensure a constant dispensing volume, you can also ensure quality. And as dispensing is one of the last processes in assembly, it could actually result in less waste, as the parts would not need to be thrown out afterwards, and they pass the quality control. What we also have our unit working is for ovens, for instance, dispensing a silicon gasket on an aluminium or stainless steel frame, and placing on top is a heat-proof oven glass, and creating an oven front in production. Again, showing some more gaskets, or for grease in bearings. But pretty much the sky's the limit. Anything that needs to be dispensed can be dispensed, as long as it's fluid enough, I was about to say. Some of the things worth considering when you're choosing a tool, and where we are also very open to being helpful as much as we can, is looking into what material, for instance, you want to use. And there are some questions that are good to know the answer to when having to choose which tools and how to actually dispense. These are some of the first questions we answer or ask as well when users come in. And first of all, what material it needs to be that needs to be dispensed, and this is anything to know if it's a very thick glue or epoxy, because some of our tools are better suited for different materials. As you can imagine, our auger screw tool with a quick hardening material would not work so well. So there we would recommend another solution. What's also very useful is to know the viscosity of the material. So asking the supplier of viscosities and densities of what materials actually supplied. And that also helps to choose, for instance, what kind of screw would work best in which tool, and again, which tool you are looking for. A third thing is to understand how the material is delivered. So some materials can be delivered in these 30 or 55 syringe barrels. Others have to be decanted into it. Some only come in big drums, or they can come in these 300 milliliter standard sizes. But it's important to know that the interface and the size of these tubes to understand which tools could actually be suitable. I actually forgot to mention, but we are also going to be able to dispense using the standard Semco cartridges in the near future, which is also a standard within some materials. Okay, another good question to have is how much volume would actually need to be dispensed per item and per cycle. So which unit would be best, I'm missing the word now, would be best suitable for the application. And we have had customers where they have started with one of our models for the 310 cartridges, and then for all the pilots tested the materials, tested the setup, and tested automation, and then added on a module and moved on to the high volume once everything was set. And this is great because if the dispensing pressure has been set, all the features from one FD series module basically transfers to the next, so there's no programming issues in this. What is also necessary to know is what kind of accuracy is needed in the volume dispensed. Typically, if you ask a user or an end product supplier, they would say that the accuracy needs to be 10 times or 100 times better than what they've actually been used to having. And there should be some leeway in this, but that's a very important measurement to actually understand. So what's important is the flow of understanding the flow of material and the flow of material getting into the tool itself, and then also the restrictions and the flow of getting material out of the tool itself. So there will understandably be higher pressure needed for the smaller needles than the larger needle outlets. And this is something to consider when you look at speed and process and cycle times, because robot speed and the smaller size needles, they are all very much dependent on each other. So this is again something to look into. We've come to the demonstration we've prepared for today. We've been playing around, finding some good use cases for the Omron, and we have demonstrated it with the the TM5900 with our SD3055 unit. So what we've been playing around with mostly is the vision system itself, the pattern recognition, so it can go down and see a pattern and dispense a different path depending on what tag it is. This we find very useful as it makes life very much easier for the end user, not having to change programs, but to make sure that it only dispenses what you actually have pre-programmed it to do when it recognizes a pattern. That's very useful. Another benefit we could see with the vision system is the quality control possibilities. So having the vision system basically understand what a fully dispensed solution shows and verify after dispensing if it is actually done as specified. We haven't had time to look into this in much detail, but this is one of the features that we think is very useful within dispensing. The light ring as well, as you also know, is really great for visually seeing and notifying the user and the operator of the status of the dispensing, and if there are any errors, indications as well. For dispensing and, for instance, setting the TCPs and making paths, we really enjoyed the free drive button on here at the tip of the robot, as it makes the movement so much more smoother. Okay, I'm just going to talk through what we actually did on the video, and then I'll share the video afterwards. So first we actually created the patterns, and here we chose logos and text to be part of the pattern itself. So what we did was, when it recognizes the square with the AIM logo in it, it would dispense squares around it. And when it recognizes the TM Omron logo, it would dispense the lines as shown here above. Whoops. Yep. Actually, no, let's do the tips and tricks. Then I'll show you the video afterwards. What we found with this is the importance of the constant lighting, because as any vision system, any change in lighting could interfere with the vision itself. So we kept that very constant for that better recognition. We also found the distance between the pattern and the vision system being of importance. So the closer it can get to the pattern, the better, so it understands it better and basically produces a better result. What is really good is this orientation of the patterns, and you can see in the videos as well, is that it doesn't have to be located in a set XY coordinate system. The vision system goes down and realizes the angles itself and dispenses accordingly. And this was really, really great. So I will see how I get out of this so I can show the video. Just we finished with our presentation. If anybody's got questions, I'm trying to see if you can see us.
Yeah, they can. They can.
There we are.
Yes. You are, so I take the moderator rights from you back. Let me make me to the presenter, and so I can share the question and answers for our audience here. Yeah, very interesting presentation here. Yes, and we have also some questions in the background. Yes, the first question we have, for example, is about testing. So if someone wants to test your application kit and so on, how it is possible? Do you make a proof of concepts in Denmark? You are located in Denmark, so or send you out test equipment to the customer? What's the best way to go to make a test?
Yeah, that's a good question. It varies very much with the material choice, I think is very important to say. What we experience is that we get people asking us what material they'd be using, or telling us what material they'd be using, and then we can judge in-house which would be a better solution. And then depending on what material, we sometimes do in-house tests where the customer would send material and we test it. And sometimes it makes better sense actually renting out a demo unit that can be tested on site with the user themselves. What's really good, or the best way, I would say, is to basically start playing with the tool. So we would recommend trying to get hands-on with it as fast as possible, because even if we do a test in-house, there's many things that apply. So like the material viscosity, the room temperature, the inlet and outlet pressures and sizes of the needles, things like this. So we recommend basically starting up as fast as possible and trying your way out.
Okay, so what's the best way? So you are located in Denmark, and I know you have distributors all over the world. And what's the best way? Directly contact you in Denmark, and you transfer to a distributor here, for example, in Germany, or what's the best way? Or
yes,
when someone wants to test it or has questions to this?
Yes, we have a support email address. So support@aim-robotics.com, where we can answer all questions. It goes to all of us, so we answer the best as fast as possible. We also have on our website a link to all the distributors in Germany, so you can choose who is closest. Yes, on our website and direct emails, then we can answer there.
Okay, that's great. And the videos you have shown now, they are on the. I saw them already on LinkedIn. Yes, and are they also on your homepage or on YouTube, or where can someone, if someone say, oh, interesting application, I want to see it again? So we make also a recording of this webinar, so it we will cut it in different parts and will transfer to our YouTube channel. Yes, but when someone says, okay, I want to show or look at these videos now, where are they located?
Yes, the video will be up on our YouTube page. Again, AIM Robotics, you can find us there, and then you can also see other applications of how to use our products.
Okay, yes, and there was also some questions about the hardware. You deliver the application package. It's depending is a dispensing unit directly mounted at the robot, and all electronic stuff and drivers also. So it's a complete package when someone ordered this from you.
Yes, it is. The whole package is the hardware, all the mechanics with the a USB with the software components on it. So it's fully integrated, and for the Omron, a cable down, so everything is ready out the box.
Okay, that's very good. So because most customers with collaborative robots prefer a plug-and-play package so it must include every cables and drivers and so on. So you have a whole solution for this. Okay, and I saw it yesterday at Jeremy's. It was for the webinar from Jeremy Robotics. All your tools are also available at, I think, at Robotics to make a first simulation to create the path of if you want to make a gluing path and so on. This is all now available in Robotics, I think.
Yeah, and again, actually, for this the Robot DK, just to shout back, is actually it's very useful for making all the smooth paths and anything that you can imagine with the robot. It makes life very much more simple for the more complex movements, specifically for dispensing as well.
Okay, and there was also technical questions in the background. Yeah, now you say you can dispense silicon from the cartridge, for example, and there are sometimes it is also used in the industry. You have two components of dosing. You have the main component and a special additional component. So it is also a mixture of this when you must dose it. You can also make a two components mixture, or is this only for or 1K or one component dispensing?
At the moment, we can only do 1K dispensing, one component.
Okay.
But we are looking into getting the 2K components ready within this year.
Okay.
Especially, yeah, looking into I mentioned the electronics industry, but also the automotive industries as well.
Okay, yes. And you mentioned the food industry here, and you have make dosing of chocolate sauce and something. Is this also with a food grade improvement or design? So you have a certificate of this, or you look at every application and make a food grade approval. So it's also yeah, for some attendees here in the webinar are important to know.
Yeah, we have a food grade solution for the FD series. Would have to be made to order, but that is the design is ready, but the material will need to be more stainless steel food grade. But the SD series is very dependent on the syringe barrel chosen. So the plastic material that we are using is food grade, and it's not in contact with the tool or any external surfaces. So for that, it's it can easily be food grade.
Okay, so that's very good. Perhaps there are some applications in the food industry, so very interesting. I think dosing with a robot chocolate sauce.
Yes.
So okay,
everybody likes chocolate.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, great applications. The biggest application on the world. We hope so. Yes, let me look in the chat, in the questions actually. So there's the questions. Do you have any experience with dispensing the solder paste? I think from SMD parts and so on.
Yeah, so solder paste dispensing, we haven't actually tested solder paste dispensing, but that would be the SD dispenser of our tools, which is the syringe dispenser, which would allow you to dispense solder paste without actually physically changing the properties of it that much. FD is way too big of a flow rate for a solder paste. That would be more like heat thermal paste. But we haven't tested solder paste, but the SD is definitely capable of doing it. As Mia mentioned, it's a linear motion dispenser, right? So it doesn't really care what's within the syringe. It can dispense anything that comes pre-filled in syringes. So if you can buy it in a syringe, we can dispense it in a syringe.
Okay, that's good. So for this one who asked this question in the chat, you can directly connect over, I think LinkedIn is the easiest way, to me or to Carles. So you can go deeper in this detail. So there's additional questions is about yes, when you change this cartridge manually, this 310 milliliter cartridges from the Home Depot, I think it is. How will be there's some air in the if you change it, there's the first is some air in it. So how is there a purge process first, and that you get the air out, and then you can dispense? So that's also a question in the chat.
Yeah, so that's correct. Yeah, there's two possibilities. One is that you purge the air through the whole tool. That really depends also on the material you're trying to dispense. Or another one is where we have a little we don't have a picture of it, but basically where we have the elbow of where the cartridge connects to the tool, we can have a special adaptation with a click-in purge connector. So where you basically would add your new container, pressurize it, and you purge the air out, not through the tool, but before the tool. So you don't get the air in the tool itself. But we have specific purge cycles programmed into our UR caps that allow you to position the robot in specific place and purge it for X amount of time. That can be used, yeah, for whenever you change a cartridge, but also if you have fast setting materials and maybe your cycle time isn't that quick, so the robot is idling quite a bit. So then you would use something like a purge cycle as well, where you would actually purge a little bit of material to not allow it to set between parts, for instance.
Okay, good. And there's one question. So look at the timer. So we have 3 minutes left. So how long does it take to set up a simple application? Like perhaps someone wants to use these 310 milliliter cartridges, so from scratch, so mount the cartridge, the system, make every connections, and for example, make a gluing square or something. What do you think? How long it takes with a robot system? So approximately.
For me, I know what to do, right? I am practiced. I can probably do that in 10 minutes.
Okay.
It also, of course, depends on. You mentioned squares. They are like we have some applications that allow to make things like circles a lot simpler. Those would be a bit faster than making a square. But
yeah.
The actual process of unpacking the tool and putting it on the robot, that should take 5 minutes. There really isn't anything to assemble. It comes pre-assembled. It's as fast as changing a cartridge in your caulking gun at home. So that's a very fast process. Installing the components also. Just you can get up and running in 5 minutes, and then the dispensing, setting up the dispensing pad, figuring out the very quick settings, I would say, is another 5 minutes.
Okay, yes.
Then add a couple of minutes because you have to, he's practiced. We have competitions in-house to see who can do it fast.
And that, of course, involves you reading the manual before touching the tool. If you haven't read the manual, then it's maybe 15, 17 minutes.
Yes, and also before you start with the robot system, I think it's also from our side, it's better to look at our training videos. We have 12 trainings videos for the TM, or if you want to do vision and something else, we have also training courses that take 1 day, 2 days. So you learn everything, but I think for dosing, it's for to start up. 12 videos, tutorial videos for TM, it's enough. And then, for example, for the first application, 30 minutes more, and then I can say you can set up in half a day this application. Yes, and then we have a question about the pricing. Okay, pricing is you have different models where we start with the gluing system, with the simplest one.
Yeah. Well, we're about 6,000 euros and below. So just in very round numbers here. But please send me an email and I can give more information on the different pricing levels.
Okay, so yes, that's the simplest way. If one to know, someone wants to know this price, directly contact you and you can select the right dosing system or the dispensing system for them, and then there's a special price. Yes.
And we even have the data sheets and everything translated into German as well. So everything is ready to be sent out if you send us an email.
Okay, so the last questions from the chat here I have, congratulations for your product. Does the dispenser pick up cartridges automatically, and does it discharge when they are empty?
So the automatic pickup.
Not yet.
not yet, but if there's a use case, we can come up with a solution. That shouldn't be that hard, actually. If we're talking about the SD dispenser, that should be a fairly simple solution. In regards to knowing when it's empty, the SD has that's our most advanced tool up to now. That has full control and full closed loop system, so you know exactly when the syringe is empty and it notifies you. With an FD, it's a bit more tricky because again, it depends on which solution do you have. Do you have a feeding system? Or do you have a cartridge-based system? And then for that, we can have different solutions. For cartridge-based systems, we can have level sensors. again, that measure the level of the material left in the cartridge, and the same thing for the high volume systems. And for more advanced systems, we also introduce things like pressure sensors, so we can monitor the inlet pressures and the outlet pressures, and then you have full control of your dispensing setup, and what you do with that information then depends on you. Do you use some PLC to stop the line or things like that?
Okay, so this was the last questions, and now we are at the end, just in time, I would say. Yeah, thank you, Carles, for your webinar, for your presentation here. And yeah, we have here lunchtime, and now we are going to lunch. Thank you, and we will hear afterwards after the webinar. Thank you, me and Carles.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.